Hello, everyone. Welcome if you're live or if you're watching the replay. I'm using this new tech called StreamYard, so I'm hoping that it's all working perfectly. This is actually my first ever live stream where I'm inviting people and giving the announcement and I got to bring in the one and only Chelsea.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here.
So if you guys have a lot of, I feel like my followers or audience, friends, community do follow you because I'm always posting her and whatnot. So this is one of my dear friends who is also a relationship coach. And it was when we were in San Francisco. Hi, Samantha. Hi, honey. We were in San Francisco and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a brilliant idea. My women need you. My women need you. So we literally, it was on the airplane where we were coming up with the idea of how to bring her wisdom to you guys. So we're really excited to dive into the 3 secret feminine moves to inspire your man. So she's going to reveal each of them and give you the how-to, because let's be honest, our world is predominantly masculine, and you know, we all could benefit from this. I know I could always use a reminder.
Balance, yeah.
Yes, great balance. And Chelsea also, thank goodness, has a few open spots on her calendar for those of you that are watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, like I want to learn more from her. I want to go deeper. I want more help attracting my man. So I'm really, really grateful that she's offered or opened up some spots for you guys on her calendar for those of you that are really committed to, you know, taking on these steps and applying them and having that accountability and going deeper in different areas that you feel like you need to, then she is your girl. So hello, Chelsea, and thanks for being here. Oh, wait, P.S. Let me just say about Chelsea, you guys, I've called her so many times bawling my eyes out or just in total meltdown around guy stuff. Like Chelsea was with me when I was oh my gosh. She was one of the ones, no joke, I was in the worst relationship ever. And only 2 people told me to get out. Only 2. And Chelsea was one of those people. So I'm like forever grateful for you and to bring you here. So hi, honey.
Hi, babe. Thank you for that intro.
You're welcome.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here with you. And yeah, I guess the first thing that I'd love to say is like one of the core kind of disclaimers that I love to just remind women of is that I really believe that you are naturally magnetic to the exact kind of relationship that you want. And this is meant to be easy. It's meant to be fun, to attract your man, to inspire commitment and devotion from him. So if you're single, this is going to be perfect for you. And if you're in a relationship wanting to take it to the next level, these tips are also perfect for you. They're really the same principles. And it's about revealing that natural magnetism. So I wanted to just say that to start, because I feel like that's a different approach than a lot of women are taking when they're like trying to figure this out and trying to be magnetic. It's like, actually, your most natural, happy, authentic self is a perfect vibrational match for the relationship that you want. So hopefully that's like a breath of fresh air.
Yes. Basically, Chelsea's like, you have the key, so don't worry. You literally have the key. It's just about accessing it. We have Vivian here. Hi, Vivian. So Vivian's actually in a relationship. So Vivian, this is perfect because even if you're in a relationship and you're listening to this, this can still absolutely apply into the relationship. Hi, R. Uh-oh, I think Chelsea froze.
Oh.
Are you there, hon?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we're working. We're on. Hello, everyone hopping on. Go ahead and comment where you're from in the world, and any questions that you have. We'll leave some time for a Q&A at the end, so you can pop your questions in, and we'll scroll through. And okay, so tell us, Chelsea, what is secret tip number 1?
Number 1. Okay, so number 1 is really fun because it's all about just enjoying yourself as much as possible. And so I love this. Okay, so enjoying yourself as much as possible in your life, having as much fun as possible in dating, in your relationship with your man, if you're in a relationship. And I always love to use the example of think back to a time when you weren't trying and you were just having the best time ever and things just started to fall into place. Yeah. That's, again, it's like we're naturally magnetic when we aren't throwing resistance into the field with our thoughts and our ways of being and with actions that are clingy and like repelling. And so when you just focus on creating a life that's full of pleasure, creating a life that makes you happy, there's nothing more magnetic than that. And so when it comes to dating, I think that there's so much pressure I see women putting on themselves. And it gives me anxiety just thinking about it. Oh my God, it sounds horrible. Whereas if you just go into it, and I feel like you embody this so well, Rebecca, and that's why this is perfect. But if you go into it with the intention to have as much fun as possible, I promise you the results are going to be so different, right?
Yeah.
And when you're having fun, like what that does is it releases that clingy energy, that forcing energy. You naturally go into the magnetic feminine energy space when you're enjoying yourself, when you're in a state of pleasure and ease. It's like that you're starting to pull him towards you in that energy. So it's super simple, but not always easy to apply.
Easier said than done. That's where that quote comes in. I love that so much. And Jenny hopped on, Amaya Katka, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but from Scotland. That's so cool. In London and LA. I love that you guys are from all over the world. What does that make me so happy? Yeah. Ray from Vancouver. Girl, everyone knows I'm obsessed with Vancouver. I went like 3 times in 9 months 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I love it. So embodying or letting it be fun. Look, I love that question that you said, Chels. Looking at how much fun can I have? And I think that's so freaking beautiful versus the pressure. So really quick, before we dive into the next secret, what do you feel like the pressure is that women put on themselves?
Oh, such a good question. So yeah, that pressure that I'm talking about, there's I'll just kind of free flow because there's a lot of things that are coming to mind. But I think the first one coming to mind is the scarcity, that when someone's in a space of pressure around dating, typically they don't believe that there's an abundance of awesome men. Typically, there's also urgency. Like they feel like time is running out and they need to find him really quickly and they need this to happen. And there's another piece of this of like, I won't be happy until I have this. Until I have my guy, and that's really a codependent relationship with that desire. I think we do it with so many things. We can do it with money. We can do it with, fitness goals. Like, oh, I'll be happy when I reach this thing. And it keeps the thing you want at an arm distance length.
Yeah.
And so the way to kind of like collapse time and space and have it now is to actually just embody those emotions and feelings of already having the love you want, already having the commitment. It just speeds up the timeline by not focusing on the timeline, which I know is challenging. But yeah, that pressure.
Paradox.
Totally, another one. But that pressure, it's coming from like, I think just scarcity, limiting beliefs, and then also fear that you're not enough. So and I have to follow all these rules around what to say and how to dress and like, and not to say that guidelines and stuff for dating aren't helpful. It's that if a woman isn't trusting herself and trusting her value and trusting that everything works out for her, that he's on his way to her, then it's like, all those action steps won't work very well if you're not coming from that energy of just trust and fun and
I'm like, because then if we're like putting, I feel like pressure, then it's like hard to be authentic. You know what I mean? We're not showing up. We're essentially not, really radiating our essence, which is what you talk about is magnetic. And this is beautiful. So now do you want to talk about that one at all more? Or do you want to go into secret number 2?
That's fun. Yeah. Unless there's any questions, but we could also do questions at the end.
Ray just said that's so sweet. Yeah, we can do questions. Okay, Mary said, how do you stop being excited? Girl, we don't want you to stop being excited. She said, how do you stop being excited about the possibilities?
Yeah, there's no need to stop being excited, but that's actually a good distinction here. So being excited is kind of a magnetic energy, I would say. It's not repelling. When you're feeling attached, that would be what we want to stay away from, right? Because that's that pressure we're talking about. So there's a distinction there. It's okay to be excited. You don't have to pretend like you don't care when you actually really care. We're not going to make you pretend that we know you want this, so you don't have to pretend you're not excited. But if you stay in that space of possibility, that's actually a good space to be, rather than fear and what could go wrong and all that.
Yeah. And I'm curious, Mary, like, why do you want to stop? Because there's something there for you. Maybe you're having like an expectation let down, or you go into disappointment, or what is
Right.
it they would want you to stop? And Ray, I think that's so sweet. They said they had a dream and I was
Mhm.
nurturing their inner child. That's so sweet. So I'm just, anytime someone shows up in your dream, it's like we're just representing something in your consciousness, which is really cool. So it's like reflecting back to you, you kind of just nurturing yourself, which is really neat. And it'd be interesting to ask, what did I represent? And then seeing that aspect in as a part of you. So that's really cool. And then, yeah, I like how we're answering questions as we go. I think that's really smart. So if you guys have any more questions, please ask. And I feel like it'd be really that helpful if do you want to share like any, yeah, do you like remember a time when you put pressure on yourself around this, or doesn't even have to be in dating, but in any sort of situation that maybe they can like relate to?
Yeah, that I put pressure on myself. Yeah, I just like every relationship I had before the one with my husband, like I was just
It was
so
amazing, by the way. They're so freaking cute.
thank you.
Like so cute.
We're in our 6th year of marriage now. Are we? Yeah, we've been married for 5.5 years. Yeah, so that's exciting. So yeah, I totally would put this pressure on myself. Like I didn't feel good enough. So I felt like I had to try really hard and I didn't feel naturally worthy and in a state of expectation around a man wanting to claim me and like be
Yeah.
exclusive with me. And so I just came from this like needy, not enough energy space. And
Yeah.
so there was a pressure that I was putting to like always move something forward that really shouldn't have moved forward. Because
Yeah,
it was,
thank goodness.
yeah, like I was putting pressure on these guys that didn't want what I wanted. And so
Yeah.
it kind of goes into the next tip actually really organically.
Yeah.
In a minute, but that pressure is going to attract like the wrong guys,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because it's going to attract the exact energy that's a match for that, which is energy of running away. Don't want to commit. So
Yeah.
when it seems again with that masculine society we live in of like we have to go conquer and like make things happen, this is not the space for that. This is one space of your life where you get to be free of that, and you can apply,
Yeah.
you can go get after what you want in other areas of your life, but in this it literally works against you
Yeah.
because you're going to attract someone who requires that you chase them, right? If you're in the anyways. So yeah, it was like every relationship before I just was like addicted to the like conquering energy. Like I was in my masculine and there was some kind of weird ego rush that I would get, which is really my inner child wounds, which I'm sure you guys can relate to. Like the ego or the wounds get fed by that kind of like toxic behavior because it's just affirming I'm not good enough. And there's like a weird pleasurable pain, right? That's like what it feels like to walk out our wounds is like it's an addiction almost.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, absolutely. Like we can find, even if the feelings aren't great, we can find a level of comfort in them because we're used to them. So we're comfortable with the, maybe anxiety or the disappointment or the anger or the frustration. If we revisit it, it's like we're used to it.
and that kind of like a weird pleasurable thing.
Yeah. Yay. Okay, so tell us number 2, and then we will get to your questions.
Yeah.
Secret number 2.
Number 2 is, and it sounds kind of cliche, but it's so powerful, and that is to embody the energy of I am the prize.
Ooh.
Right? That's what I should have been doing instead of what I used to do, right?
Yeah.
I am the prize. All of these are ways of being, right? And the ways of being create a magnetic shift in the field. So there's like a ripple effect of if you sincerely see yourself as the prize and you feel in your body that you really are the prize, then that's going to create a completely different experience in dating and in your relationship, right? Because you might be in a dynamic where you don't feel that way in your current relationship, and so you're not actually allowing a space for him to fully commit or fully devote to you because you're blocking it with your belief that you're not good enough. So I know this is easier said than done, but that's why I've opened up some spots on my calendar to work with some of you privately if you feel called to that, because it's not always a simple thing to step into this. There's beliefs that you have to look at. There's you have to practice more than anything too. It's like practicing what it feels like to feel like you're the prize.
Yeah.
Just like practicing that frequency until it gets easy to embody it, which takes, it's like lifting weights. You know, you can't go and lift 100-pound weight when you can't lift a 10-pound weight, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the tip.
So, and I put Chelsea's link right there if you want to click it, or you might have to copy and paste it. But what I was like, Chelsea, I want to give them, I love giving positive action bonuses for people who like take action, because every time I do that, it's been life-changing. So for those of you that book or claim one of the open spots with Chelsea, and if for some reason on her calendar there's not one available because she's already getting booked, then just email us or write in the comments. But for those of you that do book within the next 24 hours with her, I'm gifting you my Magnetize Your Soulmate series, which is a product that we sell for $100. I'm just gifting it to you, and it's 27, what did I say? It's 27 interviews of experts teaching you how to magnetize your soulmate. So I interviewed people like famous authors, like these just, and you know, like the most psychologists, like it's just an incredible series. You get all of those for free. So Chelsea will make sure that you get that. And okay, so I had a question. Okay, my question is, what's the difference between a woman who, like, what's the difference between the woman who goes on a date and acts like she is the prize, and a woman who goes on a date and acts like she isn't the prize? Like, what's the kind of way of being, or and how does that impact the experience?
Oh my gosh, it could show up in so many different ways. I think again, it's you could be doing all the right things, you know, like being in your feminine on the date, but if there's this deep-seated feeling inside of you or belief inside of you that you're not the prize, then it's just going to shift, you know, his perception of you, or it's not going to allow. So I'm trying to think of an example of like on a date, what it would look like. I mean, it might look like censoring yourself, not like authentically just being yourself, which again is a magnetic sauce, right? When you're
like, yes, you need to come out with a product called magnetic sauce.
Oh my God, I love that.
Would you guys want that? I want that. It sounds a little, you know, rated R, but
magnetic sauce over there. Yeah, and I love that actually. Yeah. Hashtag too. Yeah, so that's one big thing that I see, you know, women that just are starting to work with me will say stuff like, God, did I say this right? Like, am I replying to this text message in the right way? Like all this pressure because there's this underlying feeling that they're not good enough, or maybe they hide certain aspects of who they are, which is very similar, because they're embarrassed that they're not good enough, or maybe they feel insecure in how they look. Like they change their outfit like 20 times before a date because they feel like it's this external thing that's going to prove to him that she's the prize, when we know that that's not it at all, right?
Yeah.
Those are some examples coming to mind. But
that's helpful.
Any things to add to that?
It's really helpful because the ladies, so they can be like, oh, I do that, or I don't do that, or you know, if you're like in your head and you're like overthinking, or like like how you said, censoring yourself, it's a good indicator, right? That there's possibly an underlying belief that you need to perform or be someone different, or you know, hopefully be attractive. It's like you're believing that you're not, so you're feeling like you need to pretzel or change. So those are all great signs. It's cool because then when we have that awareness, we can then realize, wow, that's somewhere underneath the surface, and now let me, you know, dive in and dismantle that so I can be magnetic, which is exactly what Chelsea helps women with, thank goodness. So I'm so grateful because
coming to mind on that too. Yeah. Another example that just came to mind. I love that you guys might relate to, which is like just having boundaries around, like I've supported a few women with this issue, like around just scheduling of the date, like, or canceling last minute or shifting it last minute and just tolerating that from a guy. Like there's certain things where if you don't feel like you're the prize, like you might lower your standards or lower your boundaries because you're like, well, okay, like you're gonna be 20 minutes late. Okay, not that that's always bad, but that's kind of like a shitty
pink flag.
Like a pink flag, exactly. Like to tolerate that stuff and not even realize that you're doing it. Usually when women come to me, like that's one of the first things that they're still doing. And I'm like, look at this. Let's do that. Because the underlying thing is like I think could also go into scarcity too, of like, well, there's not a lot of men, so I have to settle for this. But another part of that is like, well, who am I to put a boundary up and say that doesn't work for me? Like, I'm lucky that this guy's interested. Like, that's the underlying thought form around I'm not the prize. So we want to look at that too, like the communication leading up to the date, and how you're treated after. Like, you just get to raise your standards to fit I am a prize.
Yes. This is so good. And when I love this. This is a great tip. I'm so happy that you're teaching that. That was wonderful. Cool. And it's like, because from there, then that space of knowing that, then they're available to attract the relationship that I know all you ladies came here to get. I know that's what's going on with my hair here. I know that's
so cute.
Teeny bands. So, and I know that's what you guys want, and I love how these steps are so simple, but that's the beauty of it, is it's really not that hard. It's like what you're sharing, make it fun, make it easy, and then know that you're the prize. And when we do these two, I feel like it's the limiting beliefs and the wounding that make it hard, but it's like in taking care of that,
easy,
these things are actually really easy. So, okay, cool.
You do a really good point though, just to touch on, is like, that's why I love doing the one-on-one work with people, because like, this stuff is easy, right? But if it were that easy, we would all be doing it all the time.
We'd all have Matthew McConaughey's and Jason Momoa's drooling after us.
Yeah. So that's why, like, the majority of my one-on-one work with women is getting really deep into like those wounds, right? And that often come from our inner child experiences, or our inner child wounds that come from childhood, and also, the baggage we're carrying from past relationships. Like, everything that didn't go the way you wanted to often can add fuel to those limiting beliefs that were maybe already there. So it's like really seeing the past differently, giving your inner child what she needs, which I'm kind of jumping ahead to the last tip, but
perfect. You can go right into it.
Okay, perfect. So, the third tip is around surrender. And specifically what came through today was surrendering the timeline. I feel like that's a big piece around this. So similar to the first one around taking the pressure off, but I just thought surrender was really key here, to like be in that state of letting go of how and when it should all happen. Because I think, again, women approach this from this place of like, okay, I'm this old and I have this much time to achieve this goal, and they're in this space of, just wanting to force and control. Sorry if you guys hear Nala's drinking water.
Nala's she just had the imaginary Lion King character. No, she's the cutest dog ever, you guys.
Walk behind. I think she already did. Walk behind me. She's always in appearance. But yeah, it's like the opposite of surrender would be trying to force and control the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women don't realize they're doing it. Like, they approach this work with a good intention of wanting to heal themselves, wanting to attract their soulmate, all these things. But underneath that is this force and this control. And we know that energy doesn't work. And so how do we...
Exhausting.
Yeah. And how do we shift this? Well, I think that a lot of people that have the force and control, there's threads of maybe like anxious attachment. So underneath that, like, there's an anxiety or an insecurity that's making you feel like you have to force it or control it. There's like a neediness underneath that.
Yes.
And again, this is why the inner work is so important, because when you do that inner work, you can start showing up this way effortlessly, because it is. But how do we get out of that space? We have to connect with our inner child, right? And sometimes deep and be like, what do you need from me, is one thing I love to ask my inner child, and have clients do too, is like visualize, when you're in that space of wanting to force and control something, ask yourself, like, how old do I feel? Like, if I close my eyes, and it gets easier to do this in practice, but sometimes I'm like, whoa, I feel like this feels like my inner 7-year-old. And connecting with her and having and there's a lot of ways to do this, but basically when we can give that part of ourselves, like that wounded part of ourselves, what we really want, what we really need, which I call self-sourcing, then it takes away that pressure off of the thing, which, like, in this relationship and dating, because that's kind of like a superficial space where the wound really has maybe nothing to do with that. Anyway, so
Wow. I love this one too, and this tip of surrendering and not controlling. It's really cool because as everyone learns it now, it's something you also want in your relationship.
Exactly.
So you learn it in dating, and it's cool because then you're setting up the dynamic for the relationship. So this is amazing. And what do you feel like would be, yeah, I think I like the questions of like, okay, what's the girl who she's single and she's going out to date? How does the girl who's controlling respond to something, like any example? And how does the girl who's surrendered respond?
Mm. Yeah, so I think the surrendered girl she's doing these other two tips first. So she's like
Yeah.
having fun and
Yeah.
she's embodying that her worth. So that's why it's like we really have to embody all of them. Yeah, the surrendered girl, she's having fun. She's not basing her happiness off of the result of a date or off
Yeah.
of what is currently happening in her love life. She's not basing her happiness off of that, which is really hard to do. I so get it. And even like you said, when you're in a relationship, like I sometimes fall into that pattern. That's also why I love teaching this because it's still relevant for me as
Yeah.
a married person. Like if I'm starting to put my happiness in him, and um, yeah, like that never ends well because it's not right, right? It's not healthy. So I think a forceful or controlling person is um, kind of like trying to steer the relationship in a certain way or trying to move. Here's a really key one is like trying to move the relationship forward. So
Mm,
she's showing up in her masculine
yeah.
in texting, in like in relating with him, and it's just such an unsexy energy. Yeah.
Drop the mic. I love that Ray said, I love that I'm the prize that totally shifts everything. Yes, surrendering is so important. That's a really good reminder. I'm already whole and complete.
I love that. Yes, you are. Yeah, and it looks like just being in acceptance with where you are, like your age, where you are in your love life, and just knowing that it's all going to line up for you. And that part of the gift is not knowing exactly how or exactly when. Like life would be so boring if we knew that stuff. So
Yeah.
kind of embracing the mystery and again, it's like you can get to the surrender piece when you're doing the very first tip, which is having as much fun as possible. It's a lot easier when you love your life,
Yeah.
be in this surrendered state because you have more than just your love life filling you up, right?
Yes.
And yeah, that's so key. Even like I know and you're in a relationship too. It's like
Yeah.
we can't like be expecting our partner to make us happy. They just get to add to the happiness.
Yes, they're a huge bonus. And I like that the steps go in order, right? It's like have fun, right?
Mm.
Know that you're the prize and can surrender. And it's like they all are, mixed, and just following those is great. And it's cool. We have a bunch of questions coming in, so you want to start answering them?
Yeah, do it.
And then any other questions, please ask. We'll get to as many as we can. And for those of you, okay, here, let me see. Where did they go? Okay, there you go. Okay.
Um,
So Alejandra said, I wonder how much does having a good relationship or not at all with your father matter in terms of attracting love?
yeah. What do you want to?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I think that it's
Yeah.
again recognizing like you get to have exactly what you want in your love life, regardless of things that are outside of your control. So like I would just in your mind separate them, and of course you get to hold that intention to have the best relationship possible with your dad. But if that's not available because of who your dad is or who your dad's choosing to be, or maybe they're not alive anymore or you don't have access to them, then that's okay. Like I think I'd love to instill this core belief in you guys that nothing can shake your destiny in love. So nothing can come in and mess it up or make it not happen. So this is an example of that, of like, it's great that you have that intention to have a good relationship with your dad, but it's completely separate. Um, and this doesn't mean you're not also doing the inner child work that might have stemmed from stuff with your father, but in terms of having a good relationship today, I don't think that that's actually necessary at all in order to have what you want in love.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And I know countless ladies who have amazing like romantic lives and they don't have the best relationship with their dad or a relationship with their dad. So it's not dependent, just to reiterate what Chelsea said, dependent upon that. So that's so beautiful. Love. And our maybe our experiences that we experienced with our parents, you know, those wounds can show up in with our primary person, with our in our romantic relationship. And so it's an opportunity to heal those things, and that usually comes after the honeymoon phase, which we could do a whole different,
yeah, which is totally the work that I do with clients privately. So yeah, it's like, and that you said it even more clear than I did. Yeah, like it'll come up, the stuff that you need to heal. And then maybe that by doing that inner child work and that inner healing, a consequence of that could be that your relationship with your dad changes. It's possible. It's totally possible. And I have seen that, but again, I just want to make sure we're not like making it a dependence. Yeah. Our results dependent on that, because it takes two to tango in a relationship. So it's like they have to be wanting to repair it too, you know, your dad.
Yes. Alejandra is going to find love, and she's in San Francisco. Okay, Samantha said, thank you so much, ladies. I've been taking notes. It's amazing, Samantha. Do you believe women should be chased by guys, or should we let the pursuing be 50-50, or does it depend on the couple?
Interesting. So, I mean, I think a pretty good standard would be if you're wanting a masculine energy man, like if that turns you on, if that's what you want, then I would really suggest doing your best to let him pursue you 100%. And it doesn't mean you're acting cold and like you're not interested. That's not it at all. You're acting warm, you're acting interested, you're receptive, you're responsive. But pursuing it's like that's that masculine energy of coming towards someone. And if you're after a masculine energy man, they're going to lean back from that energy. Like it's like magnets. So I'm not saying that this is how it needs to be for every single relationship on the planet. But if you identify as more of a feminine essence person and you're wanting a masculine energy man, you know, then let him pursue you.
Yeah.
Big time. What do you think?
I think, I totally agree. I think that's a great question. And we don't necessarily as women do the pursuing. We send subconscious signals that say, I am available and approachable. So come here, honey, right? So
you're pulling them in.
Yeah. So that looks like, you know, like open arms, like winking, like smiling, like being flirtatious, like giving him attention and just showing, hey, like I'm attracted to you, but you're not physically doing the walking up. You're basically just saying I'm available. So that would, I just want to add that in, because then sometimes I feel like women can walk around with a resting bee face and wonder why they don't get asked out. And feel like the guy's supposed to be pursuing her.
Yeah, because you're not being warm and flirty and open. Totally. Yeah. I think a lot of women, they think they have to be cold in order to be pursued, when that is like an emasculating thing for men and it's a turnoff. I'm really happy that you clarified that. Yeah, so I think getting deeper into like what is it, like the tips we're talking about. So even just like the having fun part. If you're having fun on a date, you're being flirty. Like it's possible not to flirt when you're having fun. So yeah.
Yeah. I like that. And then Keenza said, I was dating a guy that was courting me strong, and he came to visit me in Chicago. But when I went to California to visit him, he completely switched it up. What do you think happened? That's a great question.
Okay, so you're dating a guy who's courting you strong, and he came to visit you. But when you went to visit him, so it's hard to say. I feel like I would need to ask you some follow-up questions.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, that going off of that energy of I am the prize, it's like you get to have a man who is going to be consistent, right? Like just knowing, I think just this is something that I think women sometimes forget. And there could be other things going on here. Like maybe you did something to repel him. That could be happening too. But I think just knowing that the empowered masculine energy is consistent, and if he's inviting you to see him, but then suddenly cold and standoffish, that seems like an issue about him, not about you, and revealing to you maybe that he's not in a super healthy, not, I don't want to say unhealthy place, but like not fully available for the commitment potentially is one thing that could be happening.
Yeah, I love that a lot. I love how you started it with I need to ask more questions. And I
Yeah.
think that I'd be interested, Kinza, I hope I'm saying your name right, hon. I would open up your messages. Here, look, I have Chelsea's. I would open up your messages and I would look, wait, who are you guys? Okay, there. I would look at like how much are you texting him and how much is he texting you? And just literally make it black and white. Like, okay, I've sent 4 here, he sent 6, or I sent, you know what I mean? Make it black and white and look at if unconsciously you because maybe you like this guy, clearly if you're going to go to California to see him, if your energy started going towards him, out of any sort of potential, you know, maybe scarcity conversation, because that's such a common thing. I know I dealt with it and went through it. So, and I'm not saying that that's the case here at all. It's just something to be in discovery about. And then coming back to these 3 things, and for all ladies who have a guy and like him and he starts shifting, or just he stops having his energy come towards you, literally just do what Chelsea said and book a call with her. Have fun. Know that you're the prize and surrender. Like, stop and don't do it out of a way to manipulate or hope that then you'll get a certain response. Like, literally let the F go. Like, be okay with losing him. Be okay with completely losing him. And there's just so much freedom in that. Like, and even it's just because then you come into yourself and you're like, I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm in my own frame. And then what happens is what Chelsea teaches and is going to help you guys on your call is she's going to help you create that magnetic energy and sense. So I hope that's helpful. Does that make sense?
Oh my God, that was so good. Exactly. Like I think I could see it being those 2 things. Like, you might have done something to repel him where you're in your masculine energy, you're in the pursuing energy, attached energy, or he might not be in the best space.
Yeah.
To commit, which could totally be possible too.
Yeah.
I love that. But all you can do is all the stuff that we're talking about. You're not.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So Jennifer said, how do I let go of toxic ex and reprogram my brain and be open to new experiences? I have this belief from childhood that I'm not good enough to be the good person. Girl, book a call with Chelsea. Book a call with Chelsea. And again, for those of you that are just hopping on, when you do it within the next 24 hours, you get my free Magnetize Your Soulmate series. 27 interviews, all teaching you how to magnetize your man. And it's fun. And I don't know if you want to speak into this at all. It's a great question, and Jenny said it's a great question too. And yeah,
real quick, I have a really I think I'll toot my own horn, a really good video on my YouTube channel around how to let go of an ex that I did a couple weeks ago. That's really healing, but I'll just give you like 2 quick tips. So to let go of the ex, process your feelings, let yourself feel the feelings. Don't try to like avoid the pain. I think that there's a time for allowing ourselves to grieve things. So I don't know where you are in that process, but that's definitely part of it. So if you haven't done that, definitely make sure you're not bypassing, your real emotions, because that's going to help clear it and help you move on. And then you can do energy clearing stuff, which I talk about in the video of like giving his energy back and all that. But then, there's to let go of limiting beliefs. There's so many things I could say on that, but one thing is just be open to see differently. Like, be open to seeing that you could be good enough to be with a good person. Look for evidence. Like with any limiting belief, it starts, in order to shift it, it starts with being willing to see that thing differently, and then just being open to finding evidence throughout your life, or maybe even in your past too, to start stacking the evidence towards the belief you do want to create. But it is baby steps. We can't go from like 0 to 100. We have to kind of climb our way up the frequency ladder.
Yeah.
So meet yourself where you are. And I think where you are, if that's a really strong limiting belief, is just to be willing to see it differently as a first step. And then that unlocks the next level of like, maybe this is actually true. Maybe I am good enough, so. that's a little mindset stuff.
I love it so much, Chelsea. I love how Chelsea said being willing, because I think that's huge. And sometimes we can create this like belief that it's outside of us and that we don't have power over it. And we feel powerless and we're like, ugh. And I know I've done it in certain areas of my life. And it's been kind of scary to be like, well, I can actually transform that. And that means me being willing, what Chelsea said, to take responsibility and just start to think and feel and do different things to create that in my life. And so, and I will say I've had a lot of help. I haven't done it all on my own. So I love that, the willingness, right? Because willingness is huge. Like, are you ready and willing? Versus sometimes people aren't. And sometimes people are like, no, I want to stay in this program of not being enough. And I will say, being coaches, that's sometimes hard to witness when you're like, but
it's not you as the coach.
I know. When you're like, but then I always remember what Stuart Wilde said, and he said, we, as humans, it's important for us to respect everyone's evolution. And I think that's so beautiful. And even Alejandra, I don't know what your relationship is with your dad, but with any parent, if they're choosing not to, create that new sort of relationship you want with you, it's important that we respect that as well, which I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like having reverence for that too, even though maybe I don't like it.
Definitely helps surrender, right? It helps with surrendering.
Yeah.
Acceptance.
Wow. Good, babe. So it looks like we got through all the questions. And for those of you on the replay, go ahead and you can ask anything in the comments, and maybe Chelsea, if you want to come back in and respond.
Yeah, totally. I would love to do that.
Okay, cool. So ask questions. And is there any last tips or things that you want to share before we say I love you and have a good day?
Just that, I think, that going off the willingness, being willing to do this inner work, if you really want to shift your results, be willing to look at your belief system, be willing to look at maybe the unresolved emotions from an ex or like stuff, baggage from a past relationship, unresolved inner child wounds, and be open to being wrong about those beliefs, which you're talking about. Like, to be open, because I can't tell you how many times I'm on the phone with people and they're just like, oh, I don't want to believe that you. And I'm like, that's funny because you paid me to help you. Okay. So just that willingness to like fight for the possibility, to fight for your vision, rather than your limitations, which I know is a little cliche, but it's just so accurate.
I love that so much. No, I think it's beautiful. And one thing that I just want to share before we get off is, you guys, when we all went on a trip recently, and Chelsea and our other best friend Anya like surprised me, and I thought we were going to road trip, and they're so sweet. They took me we got on a plane and went up to NorCal and had the most amazing girl time. And when we flew back, Chelsea's husband was picking us up, and he parked the car, comes in. He's at baggage claim there when we all arrive, and Chelsea just like melts in his arms, and he just is like holding her like this for like 5 minutes or something. It seemed like 5 minutes, and Anya and I are like staring at each other, and we're like, oh, you're so cute. You guys have been married for almost 6 years, and her relationship has been such a beautiful example of what's possible, and something that's always truly inspired me. And Chelsea's helped me so much, you guys, throughout my experiences, throughout my dating journey, throughout my relationship. And it truly is such an honor to just bring her with you guys, and I'll continue to bring her on. And I cannot encourage you enough to book a discovery call with her. You're literally going to feel like you're held by just this protective, loving mom.
Oh, it's a high compliment. Mom with no kids yet. That's so sweet. And like the fact that I could cry when she talks about my husband, just I feel like speaks to how like lovey-dovey we are together. And I just want anyone who wants that, I want you guys to know that you get to have it and it's meant for you. Yeah. And just do the work you're feeling called to do, book the call with me, and I'll support you in figuring out what that is too, because sometimes we don't know what it is. That's kind of keeping us in these patterns. And know that you get to have it. So
Yes. I put the link to you guys. Copy paste. I think you might have copy paste. Maybe you can click it, and hopefully you're able to claim a spot with her before they fill up. And if not, just put a note in the comments, and we'll get you all taken care of. So, well, we love you guys. Give us. I don't know if it's like, subscribe, or whatever you think you need to do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Babe.
The link is in the description to book a call if these comments disappear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. It is there. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Okay.